Welcome back to the episode of Big Movie Mouth Off. We're here at our November sponsors. It's Game Changers at 3309 South State Street. Now, in the back of Game Changers, you got Precision Gaming Repair, who does repair games, game consoles, tablets, cell phones,
smartphones,
everything in between. They might even fix your heart. They fixed mine.
Mine needs to be fixed now.
They actually fixed my wife's phone, so I know that they do good work, and so be sure to check them out. I'm Jimmy Martin with KUTV. You can watch me on Channel 2 every Saturday and Sunday morning, 7 to 8 a.m. Saturdays are film reviews. Sundays are just whatever I want to do. I just make an ass out of myself on network television. That's fine.
I'm Jeff Counts. I'm whatever he says I am.
He's the man to the left.
Yes. Yes. That's a promotion, really.
I didn't say general to the left. Man.
All right.
I'm glad I didn't say, well, I guess it's from person.
Yeah, it's better.
From random person to now you're a man.
I now have genders. Wonderful for me.
Now we know how we know that.
And gender's so out. Nobody talks about that anymore.
No, not anybody else. All right, so you can find Big Movie Mouth Off on Xfinity Channel 6 every day at 6:30 p.m. and also on their on-demand system. It's Utah On Demand, movies and film. Big Movie Mouth Off banner right there. And movies, young and old. Maybe it's now it's on video on demand. Maybe it's on Blu-ray or DVD, or maybe it's still in theaters like this one. It's Interstellar.
What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to give it something socially responsible to do.
Can't we just let it go?
This thing needs to learn how to adapt, Murph.
Gang, let's mask up.
Like the rest of us. This world's a treasure. But it's been telling us to leave for a while now.
Your daughter's generation will be the last to survive on Earth. You're the best pilot we ever had. Get out there and save the world.
Everybody ready to say goodbye to our solar system? To our galaxy. Here we go.
This is the latest from director Christopher Nolan, who doesn't know how to make a film that's not 3 hours long. And so
he also, thankfully, doesn't know how to make a film that's not amazing.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
he's got a good track record.
He does.
And we'll see if that track record continues with this one. But
yeah.
This is the guy who did all the Batman films.
Right.
Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Rises, all that kind of stuff. Or actually just Dark Knight. Dark Knight Returns is a comic book. So he did those. He did Inception.
He did Inception.
He's done Prestige. So the guy's got a good track record. So now Interstellar. This is the story with Matthew McConaughey,
right,
who is all right. And so, fresh off his Oscar win, he plays a retired NASA pilot engineer.
Yeah, kind of a fallen pilot.
Because what's happened is now we're in the Big Hero 6, we said that was way into the future.
Yeah.
This one feels pretty much a lot closer to where we're headed on Earth.
This is like a possible 10 to 15 years from now.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Give or take. So basically the story is that all the crops on Earth are dying out.
Right, there's a blight.
Yep. And all we can really grow still is corn. So we're all these jobs, like an engineer or like even armies and whatnot, they're gone. We don't need them anymore because basically now we're just trying to survive. And so
certainly NASA pilot would be low-hanging fruit in a time like this. So
you would think.
He's not working. You would think.
You would think. Until a series of random events brings Matthew McConaughey and his daughter to, let's just say, an undisclosed location run by a group of individuals who you will very well recognize, led by Michael Caine. The reasoning behind these people and why they're gathering together is because they have actually found hope, possibly, in the form of a wormhole just outside Saturn. They've already sent 12 astronauts through this wormhole,
right,
because on the other side of this wormhole are 12 possibly replacements for Earth,
right,
that we can go to. Now, of those 12, only 3 have responded back. So they said, we can go there, they're still alive, but we need your help, and you're the best pilot we ever had. Now the job of a NASA pilot sounds pretty tempting. Right. So now he has to decide, okay, so I can help Earth because there's plan A and plan B.
Right.
If I go there, all right, we can change, and this whole facility where this launch, this shuttle is, well, it's also a shuttle itself. So we can bring in hundreds of thousands of people and basically repopulate the human species. If that doesn't work, there's plan B, which is on board their ship is a lot of frozen eggs and fertilized eggs, and they're just gonna be like, sorry, Earth, see ya, and we're gonna be gone.
Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah.
We're gonna start over here.
Oops.
Yeah.
So now, with that said, he has to decide, okay, I can save our species, but I'm gonna have to leave my kids behind, who's already lost their mother.
Right.
And leave them with Grandpa, who's played by John Lithgow. And even if I go there and I come back, it's gonna be, gosh, decades possibly, because of the rotation, the theory of relativity, and just everything. And so he has to make that gamble of, and if he ever does come back, that's the thing too. We don't know if he's coming back. I mean, an asteroid hits the windshield. Well, that's probably it for that. It'd be a quick movie. It's 3 hours long. It's not what happens.
It's not a quick movie.
so that's kind of, without going too far into it.
You've gone farther than I would have.
Okay, so that was kind of the trailer. A little bit of the trailer.
Yeah.
So
none of that ruins anything.
Yeah. Because come on, man, you see him in the water planet. They know it.
Yeah, and Michael Caine says you're not here to save the Earth. You're here to find a new one. Or
exactly.
to help us leave it. Is
Yeah,
what he says,
I mean, they even say it's on the poster and it's in the movie of man was born on Earth, but it was never meant to die here.
Right.
That's it.
Which is a line that McConaughey says early on in the film. So
So
I think we're still okay on spoilers.
I think we're good.
Yeah,
we're good on there because you still got 2.5, maybe 2 hours and 45 minutes of movies to watch.
Exactly.
So with that said, no one knows how to. I mean, I rarely use the word epic a lot. You know what I mean? Because I think it's overused.
Right.
But this is the definition of epic.
Absolutely.
When you shoot a film like this, and you love shooting in IMAX, and I guarantee, please go see this film in IMAX. That's the way it's meant to be seen.
Yeah.
He does such a beautiful representation of really how small we are in this galaxy.
Yeah.
There's a shot of, like I mentioned, going outside Saturn, the wormholes there, and it's like a speck, just a little tiny speck of them and their ship, and just space.
Yeah.
And it's like, it almost makes you go, oh.
Yeah.
And the guy even says inside the ship, I'm not comfortable with a thin layer of aluminum, and then that, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm in a theater seat, It puts you on edge, it made me cheers, take a deep breath, you know. There's that, just the visual elements of it. We were talking about this last night because you saw it after I did.
Yeah, I saw it 2 nights ago, yeah.
And, what you were saying, even just the cinematography of the camera rotating, with the ship creating its own gravity.
Yeah, the ship has to create its own gravity, so it spins at a certain rate to mimic Earth G's. And in doing so, it passes by stars every so often. So there's scenes where they're sitting there talking about something super intellectual and really difficult to follow. But there's this sort of rhythmic, every few second light against their face.
Yeah.
And it's mesmerizing. It's really genius filmmaking because he's able to keep you fully aware of where you are at all times.
Yeah.
Even when they're just sitting around what could be a coffee table in somebody's living room talking about physics, you remember, no, they're in another place entirely.
Yeah.
And it works. It really works.
I love the way that you play with the theory of relativity, and they're sitting there, and you want to talk about it, but you can't give too much. I'm
going to push you out of the frame if you go much further.
But they play with it so well, and it's so fun, and it's just there are consequences to their actions, and that's what's so great about this film and the characters itself. When somebody screws up, it's not just oh, I forgive you. It's you just screwed up big time.
And the consequences are massive.
Yeah. Well,
and they resonate through the rest of the film.
But the consequence also that hey, if we screw up, we're all dead. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's always in the room with them.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So there's twists and turns here, stuff that I never saw coming. That's that's one of my biggest. I applaud any film where I'm that's what's going on here. There's even some twists where again you kind of saying you get lost a little bit, but it's one of those ones I think I need to go see again.
Without a doubt.
Because you're okay, I think I know what's going on here, but I could be wrong, and maybe I missed something, but I'm following it still. I get it, so.
Luke and I were talking about it on the way here, and he saw it twice. And
yeah.
He said that the second time is when the emotions of the movie really hit him.
You
spend so much time in the intellectual space the first time through, that the second time, the emotion of it, which is deep and rich and really affecting, that's when that really sort of pounded into him. So I think everybody needs to see it twice.
Sure.
I think that's the advice, really.
If you would have told me 10 years ago that Matthew McConaughey would be making just stellar performances one after another.
Interstellar performances. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
So, but I mean, you've got, you know, Dallas Buyers Club, his 5 minutes of Wolf of Wall Street, I almost thought was Oscar worthy.
Fantastic.
And now you just got this one. The dude's on a roll, minus the Lincoln commercials, let's be honest.
Or the Lincoln Lawyer.
I'll give him the Lincoln Lawyer. I like the Lincoln Lawyer. So, you know, but again, I know another thing that you definitely want to talk about is the score.
Oh, yeah.
The score, you know, and I need to see it somewhere else, because there's rumors going around that there's something wrong with the sound mix in the IMAX presentations. Mine was a little off. Didn't ruin it for me, but you know, that's an easy fix.
Yeah, yeah. The sound mix was great in the one I saw, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
The score, I think, is almost a character in this film.
Yep.
And there's several points where he allows the music to kind of swell up beyond the level of the dialogue, and it's intentional. And we'll talk about trust in a second, but you know kind of what's being said. You don't need to actually hear it, and the fact that he lets the music do that, it's an incredibly effective moment. It happens several times, and it's that emotional punch that we were talking about before.
Sure.
And he uses music to get you there sometimes.
Yeah.
More than dialogue. He actually sort of prioritizes it above the words, and it's fascinating.
We're here. Want to get down fast, don't we?
Actually, we want to get there in one piece.
Hang on. We have a mission. Our mission does not work if the people on Earth are dead by the time we pull it off.
Well, we got this far, farther than any human in history.
Oh, not far enough. Make it count.
Where's the mountains?
Those aren't mountains. They're waves.
I'm not gonna make it!
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You might have to decide between seeing your children again
And the future of the human race.
We'll find a way. We always have.
This is a film that is about 10 minutes shy of 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it, in my opinion, at all. You know, does it feel long? Yeah, it feels long, but you know, I mean, 3 hours, that's a long movie. That almost needs an intermission. But it goes by and you're like, oh, wow, okay, well, guess we're done. You know, for cinematography, for acting, for the visual effects, just for sheer originality. I mean,
directing too.
Yeah, directing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a world where, you know, I've heard producers say it, if it's not on a lunchbox, I can't sell it, you know? And Nolan's, you know, yes, he did the Batman movies, we have to give him that. But, I mean, like, you know, with something like Inception or something like, you know, this one, it's pure originality, you know, and yeah, he's grasping from other sci-fi films that we've seen before, but definitely making it his own.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, you know.
And not just original, but unapologetically smart.
Yep.
I mean, he's become the undisputed master of that sort of intellectual blockbuster.
Sure.
He gets a ton of money to spend, but he's not afraid to make the movie really intellectual.
Yeah.
And the cool, what I've mentioned about trust before is, he trusts his audience to understand these things.
Sure.
And we trust him that no matter how kind of far the story spins away, it's always going to circle back close enough that we're going to be able to jump back on.
Yep.
And that sort of mutual trust, I just love that about his films. He did it in Inception. I didn't expect it. This time I did, and I felt rewarded by it.
It feels a little bit more straightforward than
Definitely,
Inception. You know,
definitely.
you're not sitting there with like with the spinning top.
There aren't as
and
many threads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, it still leaves you guessing a little bit. Maybe how did things certain things play out.
Right.
But no, it's top notch from top to bottom. Like there's not really anything I could fault it for. You know, I was sitting there just going, this is fantastic. You know, I love a good space movie that doesn't always have to be a superhero movie. You know, like it could just be about space travel. You know, and what man can ultimately do. You know, that's pretty cool in my opinion. So without a doubt, 4 stars. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I hope they send me a little for your consideration, so I can sit there and just watch it over and over and never leave my room. So
I'll be there too. Is that okay?
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sleepover party.
4 stars for me too. No question.
Yeah.
I think it deserves the director nod in the Oscars, and I wouldn't mind it getting a Best Picture nomination.
I mean, I'm looking. You know, I've been saying this a couple of weeks ago. We're kind of getting deeper into award season, but like. I'm thinking, you know, if the whole 10 routine is still in play, there's definitely not 9 movies better than this one, or even 10 movies better than this one as
totally
of right
agree.
now.
Totally agree.
So there you have it. Doesn't happen often on this show, but 2 4 stars for Interstellar. So be sure to go check it out. you will not be upset that you did. And you know, and like I said, IMAX. IMAX is the way to go. I'm sure if there are sound issues, they'll figure it out. But you know what? Just go and have your jaw hit the floor, because that's what's going to happen.
And then go again.
Yep. There you go. That'll do it for this episode of Big Movie Mouth Off. Be sure again to check out our sponsors during November. It's Game Changers and Precision Gaming Repair. And we'll see you next time.